Welcome back to the Celebration Pro podcast, everyone. Today I have Gwen Tinsley, who is the CEO and founder of Grit and Tenacity Consulting, and she is here today. I am very, very excited about this topic because we haven't really spoken about it yet. It's like the elephant in every wedding pro's office, and that is selling. And a lot of us want to say like, oh, I don't sell. And there's a lot of negative connotation around it. And we're going to go, behind the scenes of what that looks like with Gwen today. But I was looking through her bio and there were a couple of things that stuck out to me. And one of the things that, and I'll just kind of quote it for you, Gwen, is that she says, there's a lesson in every valley, and those are what get us to the next top, being the next top of the mountain. I believe the ability to reflect and pivot takes guts, and that having a mentor or coach in your life is perhaps the most important thing. And funny enough, in the Success Seller membership that I run, we are currently reading Gutsy, and it takes a little bit of courage, a lot of courage to really even own your own business. I mean, it is definitely not for the faint of heart. Gwen brings us 20 years of experience in selling and studying the psychology of sales. So I'm excited to dive into that. And really, we were connected, all of you listening, and you've heard me say that I have a business coach, and Gwen has the same business coach. And so that's how we've connected. And so I'm excited to hear what she has to bring us today. So Gwen, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. We're excited to have you here.
Oh my gosh, Karen, thank you so much for having me. This is a dream come true to really just go into and have a wider audience to learn more about how selling really isn't hard and scary. We make it to be that way because of our preconceived notions or our experiences in the past. And so I'm just so excited to help minimize that and show that really selling is a part of our everyday lives. We're already doing it. Literally every day we do it. We don't even realize that we're doing it. And so, we just got to kind of take the ick out of it, and selling is so easy when we do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is going to be fun to get your perspective, especially because you're not necessarily in the wedding industry directly. And that's a lot of the people that work with our business coach are the same way. They're not in the wedding industry. There's only a couple of us within her network. And it's really important because in the wedding industry, we tend to hear the same things over and over and over again. And it's the same story, the same way. And so it's exciting to have somebody come in and bring us something else, even if it's just like one or two gold nuggets that you listening in, get from Gwen. It can make all the difference in the way that you speak and communicate and sell your products. So Gwen, can you tell us a little bit about how you got here? I mean, I loved the line studying psychology of sales. So definitely include a little bit about what that is, but how did you get to this space and be with us here today?
Oh gosh. Okay. It's been a journey, but it's been a beautiful one. And I love that you pulled out the grit, right? That there's there's a lesson in every valley. And, my company, Grit and Tenacity Consulting, is based off of that, in large part because I feel like people view their hardships as like what's wrong with me, and really it's your blessing. It's the driving force. If you have that mindset to take that and look back and say, okay, what did I learn? Resilience, right? What did I learn? I had overcome this, and that's really the foundation of selling. And so I love leaning into being authentic and confident in that and helping other women give them permission to do that. So a little bit about me. I have over 20 years of experience, honestly, avoiding a sales role. Believe it or not, I started my first job out of college was in recruitment, and that's a sales role through and through. I didn't see it as that. I had a really bad experience with that, put a really bad taste in my mouth, and I spent quite a few years avoiding it. In fact, I took a lot of career assessments and they all pointed towards sales. And I'm like, nope, absolutely not. I heard my dad's voice in the background saying sales is hard. It's a grind. There's highs and lows. You never have any downtime. And so I avoided it. I found myself similar to you, Karen, I think, in a multi-level marketing company, Mary Kay. And I very quickly skyrocketed to a director role, earning free cars. And I said, what in the world? Like, what in the world? And really, I was just sharing something that I was passionate about, and that was selling. And it was a light bulb moment for me to realize that I was making selling really hard. Other people in corporate America were making selling really hard. They were not motivating me, they were demotivating me. And I don't want that for people. Businesses, listen, if you have a business, you have to sell. That's just that's the hard facts, right? Like selling
Mhm.
is part of running a business. And so I then spent the rest of my career up to this point really studying the psychology of human behavior and selling, and how to make it feel good, not only to you but also to your prospects, right? I know that we all have these things like, I don't want to follow up with people because it feels grimy, or I don't want to ask for the sale. Well, what if there was a formula out there that felt good for you and for your prospect, and by the way, you're adding value to their lives along the way? Wouldn't that be different, right?
Mhm.
So I have a master's degree in business, and I also, like I said, have an emphasis in organizational behavior. So the human behavior is something that always really interests me. You combine that with sales and my own experiences, the good and the bad with sales, and here I am today.
You'd be great in the wedding industry.
Mm.
There's a lot of human behaviors that we have to navigate. You can
Yes, and
imagine.
yes, and I've taken a lot of that into consideration as I prepped for this podcast
Yeah, you're
today.
right.
So
And our audience being, mostly event professionals, the majority of us are not the one, it's not knocking on doors or going business to business, trying to find clients. It's really marketing yourself, and then the client finds you. Because if you knocked on doors asking, oh, is anyone in your household married, like that, or getting married, like that would be kind of odd. So it's a heavily referral based business. It's relies heavily on marketing yourself. And so when we do get somebody who's interested in our services, it's so important that we show up for our companies as, the brand that matches the client. So one of the things that we had talked about and that we wanted to talk about today is knowing when the client is right for you. And maybe also, the other side of that, what do we do when the client isn't right for us?
yeah, I love this, and this is across any industry. And I would encourage your audience. I have a free download if they're interested, but it's called the Client Call Prep Worksheet. And this drastically changed how I sold in my Mary Kay business, and a few other things that I've done along the way. And really and truly, you have to realize that the sales conversation, so they've found you, they've discovered you, that sales conversation is a conversation. And it, you have, I always said in sales, you're the gatekeeper, right? So if you have a few people on your team and you're passing them off to service, like, who are you passing them off to work with, right? Or you're going to be working with them one on one. Do we like this person? Do they fit our values? Are they going to be, that bridezilla that we all talk about, that like is going to take our energy and time and effort, beyond? Like, and so this client call prep sheet walks you through really three things: cause, fit, and energy. Okay, so those are the three things that we're really looking for here. And so when I say cause, I mean, like, not, we all know on the surface that they're calling you, they're talking to you, and the cause is that they're getting married, right? Like that's a
Mhm.
cause, right? Okay, but why are they looking at you, right? And what is causing them to consider you? Okay, so it's a deeper dive than just keeping it surface level. And that's what I think a lot, again, this client call prep worksheet is that deeper dive that really helps you get to know your potential client on that deeper emotional level, so that you can say yay or nay. Like, this is not them, you need to look at this as like you're interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you. And a no sometimes is the biggest blessing. And you have control and power to say no. And that's what I want, people to really understand, especially in the wedding industry, is like, you know, you have to respect your own time and your own energy, right? And especially your energy at this time of the wedding season year. So that's the cause. What's causing them to look at you? Like, why do they think that they want to work with you, right? And asking those questions. The other thing is, are they a good fit? And it goes back to our, personality, right? Budget, location, like just all those things. Are they a good fit for you and your brand? Okay. And then the energy is, well, how quickly are they going to be ready to do this, right? Are we talking this is 6 months out? Are we talking this is next week? Like, I know, like, is that doable for you? Like, what does that energy look like? And the reason that those are important is because that's the basic criteria before I ever move forward with anybody, in talking price, and talking about what my services look like, and talking about what the experience and journey looks like. Those are the three things that I really discover. The other thing that this worksheet goes through is how to ask the question why 6 to 7 times. And the reason behind this is, when you ask the question why, you eventually get to an emotional tug, and
Mm-hmm.
people buy off of emotion. Okay. The wedding industry is already a very highly emotional, driven environment, right? In industry. And so really my challenge for anybody that's, having these conversations is get to the very deep emotional why of why they're looking at you, right? Maybe you're a photographer or something, right? Well, tell me a little bit about how you discovered me. Oh, I was referred by a friend. Okay, well, tell me, why that friend referred you, right? Okay, great. And why do you feel like I'd be a really best fit for you? And really dig into that. And if they say, oh, because you do videography and photography. Okay, great. Well, why is that important to you? Why is the videography and photography important to you? Well, I want to have memories, and I want to be able to, give this to my parents for, a anniversary gift. Okay, great. So why is giving that gift so important to you for your parents for an anniversary gift, right? And you keep asking those questions why, and you will get to something that is so core and that's so emotional that, one, they're going to remember you,
Mm-hmm.
because nobody else is doing that, right? It's all about how you make somebody feel. And two, they're going to go with you.
Yeah.
So
Well, it really, when you start asking those questions why, and you get people, they're kind of telling you things that they wouldn't tell somebody on a first call, right? And so all of a sudden they're going to have that connection of, they cared enough to take the time to ask the right questions. I've been getting that a lot from clients where they say, I've never had anybody ask me the right questions. And it's because it typically stays surface level. What's your date? Where's your wedding venue? What's your budget? How many people do you have? And all that's great, because those are considerations, absolutely. But it's most important to connect with them on an emotional level. And that's really when you find out whether or not if you have that charismatic match with them.
yeah, absolutely. And I've always said, nobody cares what you're selling until they know how much you care about them.
Yep, absolutely. It's so true. It's really true. Um, so, okay, we've gotten the person on the phone. They found us, thank goodness. We have them on the phone. We go through your client call prep worksheet, which I will link in the show notes. So if you're listening in, you can get your hands on that today, which is very exciting. Especially because we're going into engagement season. It's the one season that is the same across the board, across the country. And that is, once the holidays hit, everybody's getting on their knees asking, to spend their life with somebody. So having that worksheet, I think right now, Gwen, this is going to be a game changer for so many people. And we appreciate you so much for offering that to us. So we go through the call sheet. They're excited. They want to move forward with us. And this is where people will say, okay, we had the call. It was great. And then I never heard from them again. They're ghosting me. And I had posted this around, I bring this back every once in a while. I posted it around Halloween. I think I posted it at the beginning of the summer. And somehow we've come up with this word ghosting, when the reality is that they are humaning. They are just being humans and going about their day to day, and life happens. We say that all the time, where, oh, I meant to get back to this email. It's been sitting at the bottom of my inbox, and it didn't happen because other things took priority in that moment, or my kid got sick, or I had to make a last minute flight. I went on vacation immediately after the call. There's so many different things that could happen. And so I love the second topic that we're going to touch on here, because it's, are you following up? And why is it so important for the follow-up? And what does that look like? Like, how far should we take the follow-up?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So following up, actually, it's fortune is in the follow-up is what I always say. Okay. And it is so true. And especially if I think back, I've been married for 12 years now, second wedding. So, I've had a couple bouts, but anyway, all that to say, I remember very clearly this time in my life, and I was looking for florists, and I was looking for wedding planners, and I was looking for photographers, and no one ever followed up with me, quite honestly. And I don't know if it was like, oh, well, she must know what she wants, and so if she likes me, then she'll book me. Or some of them were really busy, and it was like I had to try and like fit into their schedule for that kind of stuff, and it just didn't feel good to me, right? And it all goes back to, how are you making somebody feel? And so following up is so incredibly important, because one, you're saying you're valuable to me. Like you're important to me. Your experience is important to me. I want to be a part of that journey with you. I'm honored to be able to, give you the gift of having these pictures or videography, right, for a lifetime. And so before we go into like actually following up and the number of times, it's really, one thing that I will say is, like, if you do not believe to your core that your service is a gift to others, that is going to show up in everything that you do. Like, you genuinely need to feel that like your experience and your product is going to, give them memories of a lifetime. And that without you by their side, it's a disservice, right? Just, you
Mhm.
have to have that conviction when you're selling anything. So when we talk about follow up, I know this is going to sound really scary, and so please, don't hang up on me now. But you need to follow up 6 to 7 times. Uh, 6 to 7 times. Okay. Now, again, there's a formula that I follow. And it's called my fortunes in the follow-up formula. And I'm happy to share this with you all today. But basically what it is it is a value add with a question in an email. And then it's a value add, just straight value add. And then it's a value add with a question in an email. It's that combination, right? And what I mean by that is, so immediately after the call, right, you want to send them an email just thanking them for their time, a synopsis of, what you all talked about and how you can really help them achieve that, right? One of the things that you want to do in these follow-ups is help paint the vision, help them be able to visualize their wedding day, right? Because of what you're able to provide for them. Okay. So then after that, you are going to send them an email that is maybe a blog, to if you're a blogger, let's say you have a website and it's a blog. Maybe it's an article that made you think of them, right? And would be helpful for them. Maybe they had some questions around, let's say you're a photographer, maybe they had some questions around like what kind of flowers to use or something, right? And you had a blog about, the best flowers that show up well in pictures and lighting. Like, send that to them and say, hey, I just thought you might get some good information out of this. Love to work with you. Love to work with you, right?
Mhm.
And then the next email is going to be, hey, checking in. Here's another great article, or just thinking off the top of my head here, but something along those lines. And then it's a question like, are you ready to get started? And then it's another value add, and then you get to the end, and then here's the secret email. So 6 to 7 times. And what I'll tell you about this is I worked with a website design company, and her name is Victoria. And because of this follow-up sequence, she actually doubled her revenue in 6 months. because she was not following up. Okay. She would say, I was like, what's your follow up like? She's like, well, I don't know. I guess they don't want to work with me or they don't like me. She was taking it personally when they didn't respond to her right away. Right. And I said, what do you mean you're not following up? Like, she's like, well, I'll send one or two emails. And I'm like, oh, no, 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 no. Right. And so we put together this email sequence that was right for her. Right. So that felt right with the value add and felt right, you know, with not feeling pushy and grimy. And that's the thing, right? Like we got to feel good about what we're doing. And as long as we're adding that value to their lives, I think that we can all feel good about that. Right. And so I'll never forget, she had this one woman that just was not responding to anything. And it came to be about the seventh email. And I said, right in the subject line, have you given up on this project? Right in the body, have you given up on this project? It has like a 95% open rate. And to be honest with you, I don't even remember where I got this from. I think I got it from the lead negotiator, FBI, or not, hostage negotiator. He does this anyway. And so it's got a 95% open rate, and it's so true. And I had to force her to send it. I'm like, close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths and hit send. And she hit send. And I kid you not, 20 minutes later, she responded. And she's like, I'm so sorry. I've had life happening. No, I have not given up on this project. Yes, I want to work with you. Thank you for all of your follow-up reminders and emails. And so, I think that we turned the lack of communication or the lack of responses into this like bigger thing than it is. And to your point earlier, it's just, we're humanizing, right? We're not ghosting, we're just doing life. And we have a lot of things coming at us. We got future mother-in-laws that, want to know where they're sitting at the table and what part they're going to play. I mean, right. And so like, anyway, so following up is a really huge part of that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And the more that we get into like just life year after year after year, the amount of times that you're supposed to follow up, or it's like touch points. So it's not always follow up, but sometimes it's just touch points. And that could be, maybe they see you on Instagram, maybe they got your newsletter, maybe a friend talked about that or another vendor talked about you. There's all these touch points, and the further we go year after year after year, the number of touch points goes up because we're so distracted in this day and age, and it's only going to get worse. I think it was, this is one that I repeat often too, when MTV came out, it was our brains wanted information every 4 minutes, because how long is a music video? And
4 minutes,
now
right?
our brains want information every 2 seconds, because we're scrolling and we get bored quickly, right? So it's the more that you're showing up in front of somebody, it's just these little reminders and saying like, hey, I'm still here, I'm still here. And I couldn't agree more with leading with service and having those value adds. And we do talk some about a lead magnet and things like that. So maybe it's the top 5 color palettes for moody photography. Maybe it's the top 5 songs of 2023, and then the top 5 songs for the old school bride. Maybe it's here's 5 of our new rental chairs that we have coming in. We thought you might like number 3. And having whatever it is in your niche.
Toolbox.
Yeah, whatever it is in your niche, having the toolbox where you can say, okay, let me go into this file that I have and see what matches them, and just being able to drag and drop, but it still feels custom because it's something you've created. I remember following up with people. We would follow up with people like a ridiculous amount of times, but every time I wouldn't feel good about sending the email unless I had something to like push them in a good direction. So maybe it would be interested to see if you booked a venue. I'd love to hear more about what you decided to choose, and let's talk about how we can work together to make your XYZ design work there. And like just that value add, saying I want to have that conversation with you and I'm interested in working with you because I love your design. Like just whatever it is that you can write to make it feel good for, again, you and for the client. So Gwen, I love that. I think that's so.
Well, thank you. Yeah, no, and so to follow up on that, remember this client call prep worksheet that we did, right?
Yeah.
And so now you have this really big emotional pull, okay? Because you have connected with this person, you have really you understand them at that deep core level. And so really this follow-up is going to feel like you're really helping this person, right? Like that you're adding true, genuine value in their lives because you know what's really important to them, and what is driving them from that deep emotional aspect of things. And again, I go back to people emotion. People buy from emotion.
Mhm.
And so if they know that you care so deeply about them because you understand them at that core because of that client call prep worksheet, and really this follow up is going to feel organic and authentic, and it's going to be easy. It's not going to be this dreaded pull, and you're not going to be wasting so much time, effort, and energy staying in your head, talking yourself in and out of hitting the send button. Okay, because
Mhm.
you're going to get that positive feedback.
And you'll be excited to share these little nuggets that you have to, yeah, it's just part of the passion behind what we all do in the industry. And the majority of us in the industry do it because it came out of passion, not because uh we just decided that we want to start a business to start, like it's, and we, most of us didn't go to business school. So it's great to have somebody on who, you have that background. But it's like, oh, I have this creative process and now I'm gonna make money off of it. And then, oh, I have to sell it. And so that's where it comes again, like you're saying, having that emotional connection. And then you get excited about sharing the things that you've created and that, light you up. So that's what I just, this is great. This is what the sales process should look like. And I even think you wrote somewhere in here, light you up. Oh no, you wrote, let me see, sell in a way that feels like lighting your soul on fire. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we spend so much time, working in and on our business. And if it doesn't light you up, if you don't genuinely feel like you're making a difference and having an impact in people's lives, then in my opinion, what's the point? Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Gwen, this has been fantastic. I will make sure to drop the worksheet in the show notes, as I mentioned before. I'll also drop all the ways that you can connect with Gwen. So if you feel like if you love this episode and you feel like you need a sales coach, you can certainly reach out to her. And before we go, Gwen, I have three, we call them rapid fire questions, but they don't have to be so rapid. So if you're ready.
Game on. Let's do it.
Well, given that you're on a beach right now, she's giving us time on her vacation, which is so kind of you. If you were stranded on an island, what is one thing that you would bring with you? And it can't be family.
uh, Mascara and lip gloss.
I love it. No one's there with you, but I feel good. I feel pretty.
I've always listen, confidence comes from how you feel about yourself from the inside out. And there are days when I don't even leave my house, but I get up and I get dressed every single day. And by the time that my husband gets home, I'm back in my pajamas. But for those short days, hours that I was
Yeah,
working, I was dressed. So
I love it. It's kind of like you wake up and you make your bed, you put on mascara and lip gloss.
yes, yes, yes. It's just a thing. I don't
And
know.
is there anything that you're currently reading or listening to that's lighting you up?
So there is, but I want to go back to you're reading a book about gutsy, you said, I think, right?
Uh-huh.
And part of what inspired me for this grit and tenacity consulting, and the name of it is one, GT, so Gwen Tinsley, GT, right? Grit and tenacity.
Yeah.
But then also is Grit to Great. If you haven't read that book, it's amazing. And it talks about just really leaning into your grit and having that confidence that you've come through on the other end before and you can do it again. And it's just tapping into that. And so I love that book.
Resilience has been a common theme through this year for a lot of different people I've noticed.
It's a
I
hard
know,
year.
yeah, and I feel like people are coming out I don't know if it was the pandemic or what, but all of a sudden we're more open to sharing our stories with each other. And I think it's great.
Yeah, I agree. Couldn't agree more.
The last question, which I ask all of my podcast guests, are if we were popping a bottle, which me and you very well could be across the table popping a bottle at some point together.
Oh my God, I can't wait.
Right? If we're popping a bottle 1 year from today, what is it that we would be celebrating for you?
That is such a great question. That you left the hardest for the last. Oh my
Of
gosh.
course.
I oh, that is such a great question. Honestly, helping 100 women have more confidence in themselves and their ability to scale and grow their business because they have confidence to be authentic, and just helping them understand that selling isn't what we make it up to be in our heads. And yeah, I'd like to help 100 women.
I love it. I think that is a great goal. And I think it will be obtained rather quickly, just knowing a little bit about you and your background. So we
Thanks,
will
Gwen.
definitely cheers to you every
Okay.
day and then 1 year from today.
Okay. All right.
Well, Gwen, this was fantastic. Thank you again. And hope to, I have a feeling we'll be collaborating again.
Me too. I'm excited.
So remember her name, Gwen Tinsley. Again, everything is in the show notes. And Gwen, I hope you have a beautiful day and we'll chat soon.
Thanks so much. Bye, friends.